Welcome everyone to Canada versus Brazil. Sadly, we could not live stream this because apparently YouTube, you need to wait 24 hours before you do your first stream, which I'll be completely honest, I did know to not tell about mere moments ago. So Kajan and I are just going to record this and we'll post this probably quarter by quarter is my thought. But Canada about to take on Brazil in their first game of the latter stage of the game. Again, polar opposites crew, Spencer Byers, Cajun Thiru, Thanny Caslam here with you. Canada
Yes, sir.
now in a great spot because you told me before we started, Spain blew it against Latvia. So that gives Canada all the chance in the world to win this game against Brazil and spearhead themselves basically into the next stage, into the quarterfinals.
Yeah. Like, what a turn of events. Like, if this is like, and we said this on the last episode. You can't take anybody lightly. This is the next round. They made it, and these teams have made it here for a reason. And you just can't take anyone lightly, even if you finish 3-0 in your group. We just saw this with not only with Spain and Latvia, but Italy beating Serbia too. Granted, Serbia doesn't have Jokic, but still. And Lithuania is in a dogfight with Greece, and Greece isn't playing with the honest too. So Canada has to be on top of its game. Lou Dort is going to be back after missing the last two games with injury, according to Arash Madani. So basically, with their point differential, if Canada beats Brazil, they're just as good as it, unless they historically get blown out against Spain. Spencer, you there?
I am there. Just trying to get
Okay,
my
okay, okay.
stream going, Cajun. So if you can see it, please fill us in.
I do not right now.
Again, this is kind of the problem, Cage, with trying to watch the game while it is across the pond and a little bit farther down there in Indonesia, Japan, and Korea, and then
Mm,
obviously being a lower down game.
yep.
But we cannot overstate with that Spain loss, and now Canada really does hold their fate in their hands. It's up to Canada now.
Hmm.
So this is even more important. I also would have mentioned Slovenia is beating Australia, not by much. So another undefeated team looking to keep themselves up. I do also want to mention USA only beat Montenegro by 12 points earlier today.
And
So
their main
the only go ahead.
and their main weakness was on the glass. Vucevic absolutely tore them up on the glass. Certain weakness for certain for teams to exploit. I'm not sure if Canada can exploit them with the bigs that they have, but it's going to be very interesting to see. Like, especially say when the United States and Lithuania meet up, because then you got to deal with Valanciunas on the glass.
That is definitely a fair point as these two teams, as you and I still, it looks like, try to find a relatively safe stream to end up watching this game. Other games going on right now, halftime, Greece and Lithuania. Greece up on the Lithuanians, who are also undefeated. And then I think you mentioned that Dominican Republic right now playing their, I say, Central American counterparts in Puerto Rico, and they're only up by 3 right now in the fourth quarter.
And mind you,
So
that Slovenia Australia game, Slovenia was up by as many as 14 at one point. Now it's down to 4.
again, I do want to mention that the European rules are a little bit different. That there will be some rules that the North American fans will not completely get, I would say, off the rip, because of the difference between the European rules and us here in North America, our North American rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that will also play a factor, which we talked about when we first talked about the World Cup, that with the lack of experience on this Canadian team, except for guys like Kelly Olynyk and etc.
So far, they caught up to speed, and
And
it's just amazing because like you mentioned about Latvia, they're they're a heck of a team even without Porzingis, and they just beat France and Spain, and like you said, it was just like shocking to see Canada make quick work of them in that second half. In the
it
second half of
definitely
that, if they game.
you definitely was a shock because again, you had to expect they were going to be the best team they faced the entire tournament, and then they weren't. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to face your biggest competition and then crush your biggest competition, right? Because now that Latvia win looks so impressive, that they beat Spain. It was not as impressive as it was 24 hours ago. Like, let's
Yeah.
just be honest. That Latvia win in the last game of their round robin to start the World Cup was not as impressive as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And we recorded our podcast episode basically 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
So in 28 to 30 hours ago, it went from, oh, that's a good win, but now we got to wonder how actually big that win is for Canada to, wow, that's probably the biggest win they've had so far.
Yeah, and everybody and people were thinking like the France one was a statement win. Then we saw France get upset by Latvia, so I'm like, okay. So we're like, okay, Latvia is going to be a big test, and they just dusted the floor with them.
Now
It's ridiculous.
now Cajun,
It
I
was
finally
ridiculous.
got a stream up,
Okay.
so I can now finally get going. It is, I'll be honest, I'll be using Sportsnet from here on out, as I
Okay.
believe they just called and they, ooh, and I do want to mention here again the European rules, Cajun. So as we go here, so they called a inside. I believe they called a stall. Like I also call it a stalling foul, but they called it a. Dan Schulman, who's doing the commentary for Sportsnet, he called it a technical. I'm not sure if that's what they actually call it. I assume it's just a foul, and it's possession change for holding it too long. I'll say like 3 in the key, but it's like 3 in the like you're posted up type of thing. That's a nice seal, and Canada surprisingly couldn't get that dunk down. Would have thought that would have been a little bit easier for the Canadians. Looking at a wide open Peel, but was not able to. But it's interesting to see the Brazilians going for a pick and roll style here. You wouldn't necessarily think they would want to spread the floor like that, like the Canadians and Americans will, obviously with the amount of talent.
Mm-hmm.
As that's a little too easy. Offensive rebound and put back for Brazil. They tie it up at 5. So slow start in this first quarter. I think it is something though that we will talk about throughout this game. That's been a negative for this Canadian team. They've had slow starts as SGA goes up and is not able to bang it in. So Brazil now with a chance to take their first lead of the night. Only 5-5 still here, about 5.5 minutes into the first quarter, but regardless, still not particularly great.
Mm-hmm.
As up and in, and Brazil get their lead. So you got to wonder if Jordi Fernandez might think of timeouts here. As Shea goes to work and misses a mid-range J off of a couple of bumps there in the post. So SGA trying to be a little more ball dominant here the last couple of possessions. We'll see if that sticks around here. Sometimes there is a problem with the team that has a star like Doncic, like Shea, that sometimes those guys just want to, eat, if you will.
Go to work.
Brazil got the
Now,
offensive off the miss. They play it off the screen and uh-oh. Rack attack, and that's that's your boy Cajun. Bruno, 7
2
points.
years,
Perfect
two
from the field.
2 years away from being 2 years away, baby. Oh man. And I'm looking at it right now because I can't seem to find a stream here. Because internet TV at home does not the greatest. Um, so I don't have a stream for this, but what I am looking through is like the FIBA live play-by-play.
On another
Uh,
basket for the Brazilians. So now I'm not going to say pulling away because, again, it's very early in this game, but Canada has been slow out of the blocks here as they called the foul and one for Brazil there.
well, they had the slow
That,
start against Latvia too, and then eventually picked it up.
which is why I'm a little less worried, Cage. I will be honest. I'm a little less worried. But, you know, I'm still not going to act like I'm not a little worried here.
Well, yeah, after what we just saw from Latvia and Spain, like you can't take your foot off the gas for sure.
Not for a second.
But this Canadian team has started off slow against France, against Latvia.
Yeah, but you gotta, and the reason why I bring it up, Cajun, is because they have started slow, and can they afford to do it against the U.S., against other teams like that? I don't know if they're gonna have that opportunity, because I feel like if they do it against the
Oh,
U.S., they're gonna get blown out.
oh no, they won't. They can't afford to do. They can't afford to do that. Like they can't afford to do that against teams like that. But you can get away with that against Brazil and maybe against Spain. But down the line, nah, can't get away with that.
I also gotta be honest here. So Shea just got to the line and made his first free throw, and off of a foul by the Brazilians, and they showed a little montage, Cage, from the truck of some roughhousing, if you will, from the Brazilians as Shea goes 2 for 2 from the charity strap. And I think
Hmm.
there's some substitution coming in for Canada. RJ comes out for a little bit of water, but I didn't really like that illustration by I'll say the Sportsnet team, but just that little montage of like roughhousing, because again the European rules are different. Like you're allowed to put your hands on somebody here in FIBA. Like they are they're rather different rules than in the NBA. You're allowed to be a lot more physical at this level. So these guys,
Hmm.
that's why that's the experience thing. That's getting used to. Okay, like I can put my hands on you, I can do this, I can do that. As Brazil gets that away, but the shot clock was about to go, and it is deflected out off of a Brazilian. So Canada will get possession here with 3:03 left in the first quarter. So you gotta wonder how many minutes Shea's gonna play here with Canada down early. Passed off 3 and money for Canada. That's their first 3 that I've had a chance to see, their second of the night.
Their first field goal with their first field goal that wasn't named Dwight Powell. It's Powell that's actually leading the way with 5 points. And I know this is going to rile you up. Bruno Caboclo leading Brazil with 7.
Yeah, he's perfect. Perfect from the field, Cage. Two for
Oh
two from the
man.
field at this particular
So,
point in time.
so he's really two. So he already blew past the 2 years away from being 2 years away stage.
Another corner 3, and that one's good for the Canadians. So another 3. They're playing like the Boston Celtics, Cajun.
Nah, they're not playing like the Boston Celtics. They're actually making shots
Well, the Celtics do when they want to, I guess.
when they want to, but not when they matter.
Oh, yeah, but who does that anymore?
Ah, that's true. That is true. And I gotta say,
They just called it
Nikhil
charge.
Alexander.
Go ahead.
I gotta say, their bench has really been good though. Especially Nikhil Alexander Walker. They really provided a boost. That bench has really provided a boost when it's needed, and actually has extended leads without when you don't think they expect to. All of a sudden with this slow start, now back-to-back threes, and they're right back in it.
Yeah, but now Shea again takes it to the cup, asked for a foul, didn't get it. So now with a minute and 20 seconds, Brazil has a chance here to add a little bit to their small lead. We got to wonder when the Canadians are going to wake up here. And that's kind of the worry right now, Cages, are they going to wake up? They've waken up a lot this tournament, but once in a while you'll get to that point where maybe they don't wake up tonight, and then it makes everything a little more murky here in, I believe, Division L, in Group L.
Well, yeah, there's always that level of concern,
Another
especially
block
after
for the Brazilians.
especially after what transpired earlier today. But between Latvia and Spain, Serbia losing, Australia and Slovenia in a dogfight, and I believe Lithuania is still down to Greece. Let me bring that up. Yeah, they're still down to Greece, but the third quarter just started there.
So Canada will get the last possession here in the first quarter. Shea isoing just about. Off to Olenek into the corner for three at the buzzer. No good. And the Canadians will come out of the first quarter down by 3. I believe it was Alexander Walker who took the last shot from the corner, and it was no good.
You know what? Considering all things, how they started off offensively, Nikhil Alexander Walker and Lou Dort really came in and provided a spark. This first quarter didn't end as badly as you would think for Canada, considering how it started.
It definitely is a worrisome quarter for Canada, but I do agree with you that maybe they've done this consistently throughout the tournament, so you're more just waiting for them to show up, and eventually it'll be like, oh, okay, well, it was a slow start, but they've done that whole turn. They all done that all tournament. Eventually, they're gonna have to kick that habit if they want to win this thing. But at this point, I just think let's make the quarters, and then we'll start thinking about Cajun. We'll start thinking about getting to the I'll say semis and finals. Let's get to the quarterfinals first. Let's do one hurdle at a time.
Mm-hmm. And now Dominican Republic are down 2 to Puerto Rico, 86-84. Slovenia is pulling away from Australia, 81-66. Lithuania is now up by 5.